Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I have to talk a little quiet because I woke up at 5 this morning and decided to go ahead and do a video. I had a lot of stuff from yesterday, but first I want to hit this. Kava Network, who is one of my sponsors, give them a follow. It'll be in the top of the description of this video, at Kava_platform. They had a huge month in April. And here's some of their milestones that they hit in April. Pioneer round up 20 new protocols. Kava Pioneer spotlights, multi-chain, beefy auto farm, Ethereum co-chain testnet, Kava ecosystem updates, announcing a $250,000 in Kava giveaway. And then in May, they've got Kava 10 is coming. So go give these guys a follow. They've got a lot going on right now. Yesterday, Eleanor Terrett posted this. Brad Garlinghouse was going to be coming up on Fox Business with Charles Gasparino, and he did come on. You got to see this one. Watch this. Let me
Thanks, Charlie.
Brad Garlinghouse, you heard it. The Oracle doesn't like you guys.
The Oracle of Omaha has spoken. You know, look, I think, I remember when I first heard about TikTok, and I just didn't get it. And I do think there are some things about technology shifts and generational shifts that are, you know, it is hard to track sometimes. You and I both, I'm sure, remember Jamie Dimon just a few years ago talked about how Bitcoin's a fraud. You know, has his opinion changed in a way that understanding that whether it's Bitcoin or these other technologies, there's a lot of good to be done in the world.
It's not evil.
It's certainly not evil, and there's a lot of examples where you can use these technologies to make systems that we all depend upon more open, more efficient, and you know, look, I think bettering society. So, I'm not going to take the time to try to convince Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett that they're wrong.
How old are they?
I'm not 100% sure, but I've been told they're 91 and 98.
Okay, so we're not going to go there, all right? But in any event, you are the CEO of Ripple, the cross-border payment. It's competing with the SWIFT system, correct?
Correct.
XRP is one of your, I guess, can I say it's one of your currencies? How do I do this?
We talk about it as it's native to our technology stack.
And it's under assault by the SEC.
For sure. The whole industry, in my judgment, is under assault.
But I think if your case, the SEC saying that it's a security, it's illegal essentially, pay us billions of dollars, and you chose to fight it. Your case will set the stage, set the agenda for the SEC's foray into crypto regulation and how far Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, is going to go. Where's the case right now?
Look, from my point of view, the case has gone quite well. A lot of it has been, skirmishes around discovery and these kind of things. But it's clear that the judge understands that this is an important case. It's going to be, set precedent. It now, we're getting close to summary judgment filings. Everything will be before the judge now by the end of November. What that means in terms of how long the judge will take to review the case.
So it could be this year.
That's an optimistic view, but it's not impossible.
What do you think of Mr. Gensler's approach here? He's a friend, I'm assuming, right?
No, I actually have never met him. He is certainly, I guess the simplest way I'd characterize this, I think when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're Gary Gensler at the SEC, everything looks like a security, which doesn't really make sense. And look, he's said a lot of things that I just think are talking points that don't really make sense. He says justice delayed is justice denied. Yet they brought this lawsuit against Ripple, and at every possible juncture, they have sought to delay the case. And our view is look, we're trying to move as quickly as we can. We will continue to move as quickly as we can because we think it's very clear.
What do you think he's going to do?
On our side.
What's he going to do with regulation?
Well, I think he clearly wants, in the context that there is uncertainty in the United States federal government about who regulates crypto.
He wants it.
He wants it. And I think it's empire building.
Now, will the Republicans let him take it?
I think there's a piece of legislation reintroduced just last Thursday, bipartisan support, called the Digital Commodity Exchange Act, and it has broad support. I was on Capitol Hill 2 or 3 weeks ago, spoke with a bunch of elected representatives on both sides of the aisle. There's broad support that the CFTC needs to have a stronger voice here, and even the executive order that you and I have talked about before that Biden put out, it really calls for the SEC to work with the CFTC and other agencies.
One more question before we let you go. I know you're a busy guy. Will there be a shakeout in crypto? Like, it doesn't really affect you guys because, if you know something about XRP, Ripple, 2 different entities, but plus XRP is trading at whatever it is based on the SEC action. You can get a bump up if you win. You're kind of, I guess, you're not going to be affected by the shakeout if there is one. Do you think there will be one?
Well, look, the overall market today that, Munger and Buffett think isn't worth anything is worth $2 trillion. Yeah. And I think the likelihood that 5-10 years from now it's worth a lot more than that is extremely high. But I think that the whole industry will have some that fail because some of them I can't figure out what the utility is. What's the use case?
Dogcoin. Doggy coin, Liz. I'm going to toss to you on doggy coin.
Okay, doggy coin. That's Dogecoin, dum-dum. Yeah, you're getting right up there with Buffett and Munger too, Charlie. All right, thank you, and good to see you, Brad Garlinghouse.
By the way, what was going on with Buffett and Munger? Why do they hate crypto so much?
They just feel that it doesn't have any value, that it's just simply software, and who knows? They called it magic. They're against it. I think Brad really talked about it in a fair way.
There's going to be a day where they can buy their hearing aids with crypto. You know that, Liz?
You're disrespectful, Charlie. Thank you.
All right, so I thought that was a pretty good interview. XRP Bart sent me a couple of things. Just in, Argentina's largest private bank, Banco Galicia, has added support for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and USDC. That's not a bad thing right there. Now, Stuart Alderati had done an article with this protocol, good to catch up with so-and-so, on where SEC versus Ripple lawsuit stands and the impact its resolution will have. We are at a critical juncture for crypto in the U.S. We can't allow the SEC's regulation by enforcement approach to stifle it. Now, I pulled what I think is his best quote out of this article right here. He said that Hinman emails showed that there's clearly a control breakdown at the SEC. I call it an SEC breakdown. That sounds like a thumbnail right there. SEC breakdown. SEC should be asking itself, there was a controlled breakdown, and why isn't the SEC taking this controlled breakdown seriously? And John Deaton weighs in, if the SEC wants to reestablish credibility, it must clean its own house. Hinman and Clayton violated basic ethics rules. It appears that a valid claim can be made that they both violated criminal conflict laws. Hinman literally disobeyed and ignored the SEC's ethics office. And then there was this. Ron Hammond had tweeted this, and it just kind of, something doesn't sit well with me here, folks. He says, while jurisdictional battle over crypto regulation between the SEC and the CFTC has been happening for quite some time, there haven't been many of those same battle lines drawn in Congress and the respective committees. That was until last week after 2 significant developments. Well, let me tell you what, having been around this for a long time, this channel I've been doing for about 4 years now, close to 4 years, in May, 4 years, or in a few days. So one thing I've learned is that all the time I've been doing this, all I've ever heard is that the SEC and the CFTC are working together. We know for a fact that they were working together behind closed doors leading up to the Ethereum free pass. They're on the meetings, you can see it. We also know from a fact, if you read Chris Giancarlo's book, he does not, in that book, he is not talking like him and Jay Clayton. It's because Chris Giancarlo ran the CFTC at the time that Jay Clayton was running the SEC. And you remember that famous photo or video of them both sitting in front of Congress, and in the video, and they're asking them about crypto, and in the video they're doing nothing but talking about how they're working together. But meanwhile, we're supposed, in the public, all we hear is that they're in this battle for jurisdiction. You really have to wonder if all the world's a stage, folks. I'm telling you, because it doesn't add up. Now, we're going to leave all the world's stage behind and go back to this. Empower Oversight had tweeted this out yesterday. This conflict of interest has also won the attention of Empower Oversight, a nonprofit legal watchdog which filed a raft of Freedom of Information Act requests. Such conflicts forced Clayton's predecessor to recuse herself from more than 4 dozen enforcement actions. In other words, I'm drawing a blank on her name. She's one of Ripple's attorneys, I think now. I'll think of her name in a minute. Anyway, she ran the SEC, I think, before Jay Clayton. But anyway, so they're saying that she recused herself when she was supposed to do so, but Clayton didn't recuse himself at all when it was things like Ripple that he should have recused himself for, because my understanding is that his law firm, Sullivan and Cromwell, represents some of the Ethereum people. And so he should have recused himself from the Ripple case, which he did not, or the Ripple suit by the SEC. Well, after the Empower tweet, I decided, wait a minute. There was one senator who all she cared about was all of Jay Clayton's conflicts of interest when he was at his hearing for them to determine whether he was going to be SEC commissioner. But now she's nowhere to be found, okay? She's missing in action. And so I said, has anyone seen the senator? Listen to what she says. Now look, here's the Empower tweet. They're talking about conflicts of interest. That's the whole center of this thing. Now listen to Elizabeth Warren before Jay Clayton becomes commissioner, and now you can't find her anywhere talking about this. I showed their tweet there at the beginning.
Under the president's executive order for ethics, the first 2 years of your tenure as SEC chairman, you would have to recuse yourself from participating in any enforcement matter involving a former client of yours. That's about half of your term as chair. So based on your personal client disclosures then, for half of your tenure as SEC chair, you would not be able to vote to enforce the law against several big banks, including Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, Barclays, and UBS. Is that right?
Yes, Senator.
Thank you. Those banks have repeatedly violated securities laws in the past few years, but if they violate securities laws again in your first 2 years as SEC chairman, you can't vote to punish them. And I think that's a problem. But it's just the tip of the iceberg. Your recusals would not be limited just to your own former clients. The ethics executive order also requires you to recuse yourself for 2 years from any matter in which your former law firm, Sullivan and Cromwell, represents a party. Now, Sullivan and Cromwell is a leading New York law firm with a very long list of Wall Street clients. So for half of your term as SEC chair, you would not be able to vote to punish any corporation or bank that uses Sullivan and Cromwell as their lawyer. Is that right?
I believe that's a fair summary, Senator. Yes.
Thank you. More potential cases with a deadlock and no enforcement, and that's a problem. And even beyond Sullivan and Cromwell's already long list of Wall Street clients, any reasonably strategic company that wanted to try to avoid an SEC enforcement action could simply hire Sullivan and Cromwell to represent them before the agency, and then you couldn't vote for enforcement against that company. Is that right, Mr. Clayton?
I'm not sure about that, Senator.
Well, you do know the rule that if they are represented by Sullivan and Cromwell in front of the agency, then you're going to be banned from being able to vote against them.
If they are represented by Sullivan and Cromwell in front of the agency, I would not be able to participate.
That was my point.
That doesn't mean that.
So more cases potentially that you cannot participate.
Missing in action. There's Elizabeth Warren. She doesn't have anything to say about this. She was so passionate about it, but now that it's actually happened, she's nowhere to be found. And remember, she's buddies with Gary Gensler. So now you're finding out where Elizabeth Warren, what Elizabeth Warren's integrity is really all about. There is none. She could give a rat's behind about Jay Clayton's conflicts of interest. She just thought that it was a great political angle for her to take back then. If she really gave a crap about conflicts of interest at the SEC, she would be shouting from the rooftops now, and she's nowhere to be found because it doesn't politically serve her. These kind of people don't have any place in our Congress, period. And I don't care what side of the aisle they're on. None of them do. Look what John Deaton said. He said, I've contacted Elizabeth Warren's offices. She and her staff are well aware 67,000 XRP holders sued the SEC and are being harmed by its overreach. Once her office learned the SEC sued a couple of billionaires, she refused to comment. She cares about class warfare more than retail investors. Well, there you go. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I had to talk softer today because I do have some kids asleep. Of course, my 16-year-old can sleep through anything. These teeny boppers can sleep no matter what's going on. Oh well. Thanks for listening.